You're in the bullpen. You might want to watch where you're stepping. Here's American Shorthorn Association CEO Montie Soules.
Well, welcome to another session of the Bullpen. Today we're here at NCBA in New Orleans, and we got Frank Stoltzfus with us here, newly elected to the NCBA Board of Directors. So, Frank, tell us your new title and a little bit what your job's going to entail that you just got elected to.
Sure. Well, thanks, Monty, for having me. Known Monty for quite a while now, so I got it nominated by the Pennsylvania Cattlemen's Association. I'm from the eastern part of Pennsylvania, and I got nominated for the Region 1 Policy Vice President, a division of NCBA on the policy side. And my role will be to help lead the policy discussion in Region 1. And Region 1 is from Michigan and Indiana east, and from Kentucky and Virginia north. So it's a pretty big area, probably a lot more people than there are cattle, but I'm going to represent producers in that area in policy.
That would be awesome. I think it's really great to have the friendship and the association that we've had. Frank's been a Shorthorn breeder, still is in our mind. He's retired now, but now he's got a new job role, so we're not going to let him be retired. But Frank had a unique position raising Shorthorn cattle back in Pennsylvania. So tell us a little bit about, you run the farm for the villages at Masonic.
Masonic Village Farm in Pennsylvania, Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania. I was there from 1985 and just till 2020 when I retired. But the Shorthorns started at Masonic Village in 1980. So they preceded me even. And they were brought in to try to upgrade a little bit the crossbred cattle that had been there. And when I got there, it was a challenge for me to take those cattle to the next level. And we got into the late 80s or early 90s. We started buying some really good bulls. Went out to Bylands in Ohio and bought our first really good herd bull. And that was Byland Strongbox, and some people may remember him. And from there, we went through the Shorthorn business and purebreds. We were part of a sale, Mid-Atlantic Genetic Productions, for 10 years with 3 other producers from Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Maryland, and that was a great time. Got to meet a lot of people, sold cattle all over the eastern part of the United States. Then in the 2000s, we got really involved with NCBA and some of the functions there, and we were really fortunate in 2011 to get the ESAP award. We were the National Environmental Stewardship Award winner in 2011, and I've come back to that reunion every year here at the convention. Good. And then in 2016, we got nominated for a BQA award, and I've really concentrated a lot on beef quality assurance over the years. I was a member of the original commission that the governor appointed in Pennsylvania for beef quality assurance. So we were been kind of proud of those 2 accomplishments over the years, and so maybe it's time for me to pay back a little bit and serve on the board now.
Well, you'll do a great job. I have no question about that. One of the things that I when we talked about the Masonic villages, that was self-sustaining. You used the beef to feed the folks that lived there, and you had a dairy farm, and it was the old way of doing things that we don't do today. And then Frank was adventurous enough, I'm going to call it. They had a feedlot, and he opened up a market in New York City and was selling to restaurant trade in New York City. I don't know, 10 steers a week or something like that.
That's what we're currently at now, selling 10 a week. We distribute the meat through a company called Happy Valley Meat Company. We're not the only producer for them, but it's a small company that got started in Manhattan, right in the heart of New York City. I've been there a couple times, visited some of the chefs. It's been a really neat experience for us. I'm a cautious Dutchman from Amish country in Lancaster County, and we started out real small, Monty. We sold him 2 head, and where's this going to go? And now actually I'm acting as a consultant for them and working with other producers across Pennsylvania, New York, and trying to go directly from the farm as close to the consumer as possible. COVID was an interesting story with that. if I could take a minute or two and just talk about what happened during COVID. Everybody knows what the supply chain was like during COVID. We really got shut down. And all the restaurant trade got shut down. Schools were closed. That's where our cattle went every week. And boy, I thought we were looking at the poor side of good. Mm-hmm. And Happy Valley got together with their producers and said, we're going to make you guys try and keep you as whole as we can. And so we were going directly to restaurants, directly to schools, and in about a 3-week time period, Monty, that got turned around, and he was going into higher-end grocery stores. Our cattle were ending up in Whole Foods markets in New York and New Jersey. We were also able to go onto the internet and go directly to apartments and homes in New York City. So that was kind of exciting. And a lot of producers got hurt over COVID, and being that close to the consumer, we were able to hold our own on that one. So that was kind of a cool story.
Cool. That is cool. That is neat to hear, because in today's world, as you're part of NCBA and what I deal with as executive of Shorthorn Association, I really believe this consumer relationship with the farmer and rancher is maybe one of the most important factors that we have to do in our industry. And that's what you were accomplishing. That's what I admire it. It's entrepreneurship that I don't think a lot of people really understand, because our long-term survival is if that housewife still wants beef, and we got to relate to suburban America. And because we may be raising registered cattle as a breed association, but the ultimate end is they're going to be consumed, and we got to worry about that consumer and give them a product that they will like and that they want to have, and that's wholesome and nutritious for them. So, and those are the things that you've already done.
Every sector in the beef industry really it goes directly to the consumer. The cow-calf guy may not think that when he's making those breeding decisions, each year, and even the stocker guy may not think that when he's got 900 head of calves running around out there hunting for a buyer at a feedlot. But everybody is a part of that chain, and the only way that we can survive in this industry is if we meet the demands of the consumer in the amount of product, in the quality of the product, in the ability to obtain the product. We have to put that whole thing together, and they have to be satisfied for the most part every day. And so I think all sectors need to take a role in that satisfaction guarantee.
It's there. It's from genetics to nutrition to just maintenance and husbandry and the whole factors all across the board. And we got to take pride in it. We have to take pride in it. I mean, we at the association started the Shorthorn beef system where we want to relate to that. I would have the dream that we would get suburban America to come to a Shorthorn breeder and buy their beef direct, and that they build a relationship with that farm family and with that suburban wife and that suburban family, so that they can have that, because the communication there will spread to the next one, and pretty soon we'll have America understanding what we're really trying to do as livestock producers and beef cattle producers. So I think that's really important.
I think that may have been one of those unintended consequences or outcome of COVID. In our area, we saw a tremendous amount of movement by consumers going directly to a beef producer and saying, how can I get beef from you directly? And we overflowed the system of small packers, the local butcher shops. We just overflowed it.
They can't handle it anymore.
They're backed up for a year.
Yeah,
they're a year out. Yeah. And there's been some movement now to some new startups, and there's an opportunity. So although COVID was really a pain in our life, there were some areas where we could take advantage of some of the things that happened and continue to make those things happen in the future.
No, it's very true. And you'd already started that process. And
we did.
We were fortunate and got hooked up with the right people. So let's go back to NCBA for a minute. So you've got a new role. I know you're going to be hitting the ground running on it. So tell us a little bit about what you anticipate, the things that you want to accomplish or you see that you need to do or that you're going to work with your board going forward here in the next 2 to 3 years.
Well, it is new for me. I've worked with Pennsylvania Cattlemen's Association. I've been the chairman of our legislative committee, which has kind of thrown me into the fire a little bit. And I have found I really enjoy and appreciate the work that NCBA does in Washington, D.C. Ethan Lane and his team of about 8 or 9 people down there, they have a vast portfolio of policy that they have to watch for us as members of NCBA. And they do a fantastic job. Even before I got this role on NCBA, about 2 weeks ago, I was able to testify at a congressional hearing. And on behalf of PCA and National Cattlemen, Congressman Glenn G.T. Thompson of Pennsylvania held a hearing session for the 2023 Farm Bill in Harrisburg at our annual farm show. And I got invited to be one of the people to testify. And that was a neat experience for me. I took some points that NCBA really wants to get across and get into the Farm Bill. And briefly, they would be, we want to see the conservation title continue. We want to still be able to use EQIP. We want to be able to use the programs that have been available through the Farm Bill for our pasture lands, our crop lands, to keep them better. We really want in the Farm Bill the ability for us to get through natural disasters. I mean, there needs to be some funding in the Farm Bill to say, these tornadoes or the floods or the fires, any of those natural disasters that are out there that we really don't have any control over those. It's tough and it can wipe some people out. So that's something we really want to stress. One of the main things we want to stress from NCBA, and boy, there was a really good session on it today in the last session, and that's management of foreign animal diseases. Even before we trace them, if they hit us, to hold them off from our shore, from coming on. We all know how porous the southern border is right now, not just for people, but for all things coming through the southern border. Prime space for something like foot and mouth disease to come onto our country, into our country. And we need USDA and our federal government to really help us be prepared, be ready. One of the main places that they're helping us right now, and we want to really see that continue, and that would be through the vaccine bank that they have going. We learned a lot about that this week. I learned a lot about that this week. And it's imperative that we keep those types of things going. And then there's another program that the USDA has in preparing us if something does hit. How do we distribute the vaccine for a foot and mouth disease? How do we take care of indemnity to farmers and ranchers? How do we take care of, if it comes to this, cattle that have to be destroyed? We need a plan for that, and the Farm Bill will help us put that together. And then there's this crazy climate change issue that we're all dealing with, and I don't know what the answer to that is, but I do know that we want the Farm Bill to reflect that cattlemen and ranchers are far more of the solution than they are of the problem. We've gotten a little bit of a bad rap over methane, and it's tainted our look. And if you look at it in the cattle industry, we're a ruminant animal, and that mama cow, she can go on places where you and I don't want to go try to get our food from. The things that are too something, they're too steep or they're too wet or they're too rocky.
Right.
And we can put that mama cow on there and we can make protein and do it really efficiently. Actually, G.T. Thompson quoted me on one thing from the listening session, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but I have a saying I've used for a lot of years. We're able to take blue sky and green grass and make red meat to feed the world.
Exactly.
And that's what the mama cow does.
Yeah, that's exactly
That's what
right.
the industry's for.
Right. Right. No, that's exactly right. And it's a worldwide issue. It's not just related here. I was in England this summer at our Shorthorn conference, and what I really saw there was the English are even worse than we are as a society attacking the beef cattle industry and the methane gas. And Australia's even, they're out there too, and they're following suit. So, and you talk about this disease control. I did some consulting in South America for like 18 years. I saw hoof and mouth down there.
Yeah.
It's not a pretty sight, and the scariness of it. People need to be aware. We are very protected from it, from our systems and the USDA and the good things that people have done, NCBA and everybody. We need to be aware of these things because, trust me, we don't want it here. We don't want to have to deal with it. I can see that very, very plainly.
As an industry, we need to keep that protection and that ability for us to help ourselves really in that farm bill. It's a vital part. It's a tiny little part of the vast trillions of dollars that are going to be in that farm bill. It's going to be more than $1 trillion this time. And it's a tiny part, but it's a very, very important part, not just for the cattle industry, but for sustainability of protein in the United States, and also for our economy. I mean, we're a vast part of the economy. Food is important.
Food's important, and it's a major industry, let alone the importance that it has for you and me and everyone else. So, well, I think you got your work cut out. You kind of know where you're going. You've got the path started that you're going to be doing, which you're going to be working for a lot of us beef producers, which we're grateful to have you there, and I'm honored to know you and have a friend now on that board, so I know somebody I can call when I might need some help every now and then. So we sure thank you for being with us today, Frank. We appreciate you being part of the bullpen here today at NCBA, and with that, we'll wrap up another session of the bullpen. Thank you for joining us today.